Hello. Welcome everyone to another episode of Role Playing Guys. Thank you so much for listening. This is session 0 of season 6. I don't really know exactly how I'm going to say that. It is the first episode of the season, even though we aren't actually getting into any of the gameplay. We are doing some character creation and company creation because this game is perfect for that. It takes a lot of character development with everybody involved, so it's a really good game to do a session 0 with, to get everybody on the same page. So that is what this episode is. Additionally, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We post a lot of awesome content up there consistently, so you can find a lot of new content to incorporate into your games that you're playing, into your new campaigns, and everything else. We like to give content that is in all the game systems that we play, so we have some Numenera stuff up there, we have some Pathfinder stuff, we have some Dungeons & Dragons, obviously, as well as some Wrath and Glory stuff. So there's a lot of awesome content that we consistently post there, and if you want to see more of it, you can go to the website, rollpg13.com. If you are interested in contacting us, you can find us on Discord, or you could DM us on any of our social media, or you could also email us at rollpg13@gmail.com. We love to hear from you and get ideas from you and do what you guys want us to do. We try and build our content off of exactly what you guys are sending us, so if you have a game that you want us to play, or you're making your own game and you want us to test that game, please send it our way. That is exactly what we're doing for Season 6. We have actually received another recommendation of a short game that we might throw into Season 6. Not sure about that. If not for this season, maybe in between the next season or whatever. We're not sure yet. Finally, we want to thank our patrons over the land of Patreon, Brad, Jules, and Steven. You are the soap to our hand washing. Without you, we'd just be completely useless water running over hands and not really making a difference. As a reminder, we said this last week, but we always want to reiterate this, especially with the pandemic going around. Please try to make sure that you're getting your information on how to deal with this pandemic from health officials who actually know what they're talking about. Again, the World Health Organization is a great resource to check what the most up-to-date information is. They provide you with everything that you need to know and everything that we can be doing in order to stay healthy and safe. I think with this pandemic going around, it's a really good thing to remember that you may not necessarily be one of the quote-unquote at-risk people for this virus, but you could infect other people. So just really be considerate and think about what you're doing, making sure you're taking the proper precautions. Anyway, on that sour note, let's get to the episode.
Anyway, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Role Playing Guys, the start of season 6. Always very exciting to have a new season. Yes. But yeah. This season, as we've said before, we're going to try not 1, but not 2, but 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of a bit of a backlog.
That's how I count.
I thought you were going to say 3 and then 4, but you jumped to 4.
I was trying to like subvert expectations. It kind of backfired a little bit. It was underwhelming. Anyway,
I was whelmed an insane amount.
I was like, wow. That's risky business.
Anyway, the first game we're going to try out for this season is Flying Circus by Erica Chappell. Well, we're all very excited about this. It's a pretty cool looking game, honestly, with a lot of stuff, clearly a lot of effort and research and passion into this. But yeah, before we get into the game itself, let's introduce the players for this game. So I'm Nick, of course. I will be the GM for Flying Circus. We have Rebecca back, my wife Rebecca.
Hey.
As always, we have Spencer.
Hello.
And, of course, Tyler.
What up?
All right. So, yeah. Flying Circus by Erica Chappell. Probably the best way to describe the concept, I guess, is World War I planes meets fantasy Germany, meets with a bit of Studio Ghibli or Hayao Miyazaki influence as well. Pretty cool stuff, I would say. It doesn't actually take place in World War I era Germany. Obviously, that is the inspiration. But it takes place in a fictional country called Himmelgard. Himmelgard? Something like that.
Hemoglobin.
But yeah, so this game has a lot of rules. It is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, so it uses those like Powered by the Apocalypse sort of move system. Which we'll mention briefly, but we're going to focus on the session 0 kind of stuff for this episode. Character creation as well as company creation, because the main way to play this game, if you want, is to have the players be pilots in a flying circus, which is the term for a pilot company, basically. So we're going to determine what kind of characters and what kind of company we're going to have for the next 3 or so episode, the 3 or so episode adventure that we're going to have. So again, just very briefly, Powered by the Apocalypse. Characters have different, like the main mechanic of this type of game is the moves. Moves are defined by like a phrase or a keyword or something. So an intimidation move might be called something like press the issue or something like that. And so if you say, I want to press the issue, that is an actual move or an actual like, that triggers a roll of some or a check of some kind. And there are many different kinds of moves. There are general moves that apply to everybody. There are personal moves that apply to certain classes or certain backgrounds. The GM has their own moves, things like that. There are a lot of other mechanics in Flying Circus, including mechanics for piloting the plane. There's even like a sheet that simulates an airplane cockpit, which is pretty cool. But we'll get more into like the rules of play while we're actually playing. So let's get into character creation. So, and again, this is the players have not actually created a character yet. They've kind of thought about what sort of character they want to make, but we're actually all walking through this process together. So, first, you need to choose a background. The background is basically this is the game's term for like your class or your archetype, essentially. To get a feel for the world, I'll briefly mention all of the different backgrounds, and each of the players will kind of say what background they want to do, and then we'll go from there. So we have a farmer, a naive rural bush pilot with incredible potential, a soldier, a holdout carrying on the martial traditions of the past of the old empire, a fisher who is a stranger from the coastal lands with ties to dark powers, a skyborn who is an outsider who has lived their life in the air, a student who is a pupil from an academic holdout run ragged, a believer, a radical with strong ideas of how the world should be, is it Scion? Scion.
Like the vehicle.
A remnant of the nobility venturing forth from safety, a survivor, a half-feral child of the broken cities clinging to life, a witch, a wildling whose proximity to the Fae has granted magic, and finally, a worker, a soul who's made weary by work, here for the paycheck. There we go. So what kinds of backgrounds are we all playing here? Rebecca, what background are you choosing?
I'm going to go with the Skyborn.
Cool.
Ooh, good choice.
A twist.
A twist. Well, what sort of Tyler? What do you have?
I'm gonna play the soldier.
Surprise, surprise.
No surprise there.
Tyler is often like the muscle, basically, in the party.
The beef.
Tyler, the beefy boy.
Gotta keep it going. Gotta keep the trend.
And Spencer, how about you?
I want to play a worker.
All right. Another Joe Schmo, just like in Corporea, huh? Nice.
No, this one takes after Karl Marx.
Oh yeah.
So less of an Emmett and more of a Karl. Okay, cool. So there are sheets that actually walk you through the process of character creation. It gives you a bunch of options for names, or you can write your own or whatever. A lot of the names are like obviously like German inspired or similar. Next, it talks about the hometown. So yeah.
Well, they don't all have hometowns. But...
Oh, they don't all have hometowns? What does Skyborn have? Oh, Skyborn has airship names, actually. Like what airship you're from.
So yeah, they just live in like floating cities, basically.
Yeah,
they have some towns like in the book, but there's also a way you can add your own, I'm guessing, and create your own backstory. Yeah. But
she specifically mentions in the book to create your own region map, and then a lot of it is left blank so that you can populate it with your own ideas anyway.
Yeah,
and because a lot of the world isn't completely known, so it's a mystery in that way too.
There is a sample map of this Himmelgard area. I do plan on using that because again, we're not doing a full-blown campaign as much as I would love to. So I'm not going to do I'm not going to reinvent the wheel there.
Well, maybe once this game is completed. we could revisit.
It would certainly
be
quite fun. I would certainly be down for that. But yeah, so for hometown, you're welcome to make up your own hometown name. Making a Germanic sort of name would certainly work for this sort of setting. With the suggestions there, maybe think about what sort of town or airship or what community you're from. That might help with like what your kind of character you are. And a bunch of pop-ups came up on my computer. There we go.
Oh, no, what are you doing?
The pop-ups are from the Epic Games Store. They're saying a bunch of these games are free now. I don't care. I already have the Stanley Parable. Shut up.
Do we want to say our names or
go for it?
If we've come up with our current residents.
Yeah, go for it. Again, so Rebecca, Tyler, Spencer. Rebecca?
Okay, my character is going to be named Indira.
That's endearing. Tyler?
Wolf. This name's going to be Wolfgang.
Very nice. Spencer?
Oscar von Meowmix.
Oh my gosh.
Oscar von
Meowmix.
What?
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He worked for the Meowmix company until it got destroyed in the Great War.
No, he didn't.
All right. And then, so yeah, along with hometown, it also talks about like people. Like, this is a setting that is a vast and diverse place. It says here the cultures are summarized in 8 printable culture cards. I don't know if those are. Oh,
in the beta cards that
that's
were
right.
sent
Okay.
over, you can also
back in. Okay, I guess I didn't get a good look at those quite yet. I will though. Sorry, I was focusing on the playbooks and the handbook, but yeah. So there are certainly lots. The cultures are certainly varied, and there are. You can be any sort of like culture you want, of course, but there are suggestions there. Let's move on to the expectations. So again, backgrounds more than just mechanical flavors for player characters. They represent the trends and demographics inside the world, like what your characters are thinking, basically. And so let's again go around and say what sort of like expectations or sort of headspace each character is in right now. So, Rebecca.
Okay. Spencer. So she grew up on an airship, was born and raised there. So I would imagine that she's pretty fit, having to know her way around the airship and to fly. Bold, free, somewhat expressive, I guess, kind of more of a gypsy feel.
Nice.
All right. What about you, Tyler?
I think he's going to be kind of a guy who's kind of scarred by his past service in the wars. So maybe he doesn't really agree with, fighting and things like that. But since that's all he's done, that's what he does to stay alive.
Yeah.
So he's going to, I don't really know exactly how he's going to be. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more.
Sure.
But
you have the basic, you have basic like expectations.
Yeah. So
right?
it's male. He's proud, disciplined, obedient, lean, fit, sharp gaze, able to handle lethal weapons, and he's more uniform. So not very wild or outgoing, but very strict, I guess.
Okay. I should also mention that in the history of this world, there is something like called capital O, capital W, old world, basically. Like the old empire, the old empirical things, whatever, that have since been toppled, leaving room for a rather free and liberal society as people, try to like figure out their place after the, the wars of the old world and everything. So there we go. And finally, Spencer.
Oscar is on the older side of the group. He's just doing this so that way he can pay off some serious debts that he owes to some people when he tried to start his own company, which was obviously making cat food, inspired by his 2 felines, Garfield and, yes, Lucifer. The name of the cat from Cinderella.
From Cinderella, yeah. I was that was the first thing that came to mind.
Lucifer.
For the longest time as a kid, I legit thought the cat's name was Lucifer because that's how the mice said Lucifer. It took me years to realize the joke of having a cat named Lucifer. Anyway,
it's the devil.
But yeah.
No.
So yeah, we have a basic understanding of kind of maybe the personalities of each of the characters, and we have some varied ones which are good. So next we have character history and also character questions. So this is This is where you really start to think about more of the background of your background. Basically,
this is a classic Nick favorite because it's in question format.
What do you mean it's a classic? Like
every time there's a format in which a character has to describe themselves with a question, you go, "This is something that I personally really like."
Really? I guess I've...
Yeah.
Have I really...
You did that. I think Domains had that. Afterlife had that. You really like that about Numenera.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it feels more interactive. I've never noticed that pattern in me, but yeah, all right. I mean, yeah, so in this one, it's like multiple choice. The playbooks, the sheets, they choose all that apply. So, again... Rebecca, what character history and questions? Yeah.
My first one is I was taught to fly by, and I said myself, just playing around and a parent to mind the home. I left my home because I was too curious and too independent. And I fly so I can find my destiny, chase thrills, and be my own person.
That sounds very typical of a lot
Gypsy.
a lot of the pilot lifestyle that is encouraged by this game. Free thinking, finding your own way in the world, thrill seeking, that kind of thing. Tyler?
So I was taught to fly by, I would say, a veteran to replace them.
All right.
So my kind of thought is maybe I was part of some of these maybe greater wars, or I was at the end of one. And so I was kind of a new recruit trained by some of the older ones. I left home because I was too reckless. So I kind of went in with all the glory and glory hunting of most of the youth at that time. And now I'm stuck with what I have. And I fly so I can fulfill my duty. So that's what I picked.
Nice.
That's a cool idea, Ty. It reminds me a lot of, if you've read the book or seen the movie All Quiet on the Western Front,
mm-hmm.
It gets at that idea of just national pride and civil duty.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer?
Oscar was taught to fly. This wasn't in one of the little 4 descriptions that you could choose, but he was taught to fly by a book that he stole from the library. He left his home because his idea of the cat food didn't work, and he flies so he can make money and pay off some serious debts.
All right. Very nice. A hilarious idea. Like, I'm just going to be a pilot because the whole cat food thing didn't
just
work.
Like read a book. Why? I read a book.
It's a way to
Why not?
You either die or you make the money that you need.
True.
So,
mm-hmm.
No other way would he be able to make that much to pay
I don't think we
off.
quite got into the questions. But yeah, there each background has specific questions that they encourage you to answer as a character. So, Rebecca, how about
its own section?
What?
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my first question is, when did you first touch the ground and for what purpose? And as a teenager, I was on a plane that went down. So that was my first experience not being in the air. What do I think I'll find on the ground that I couldn't have in the air? Adventure and new experiences. Do I have a way to find my home should I wish to return? Yes.
You have a way and you want to return?
If I wish to return, I can go back. I do have a way to go back if I choose to.
All right. Tyler?
Okay, so my first one is what is the military insignia of your holdout? What emotion does it inspire in you? So maybe I'll draw something up for that specifically. But I would probably say not exactly pride, maybe more some shame just because of what happened. What rank did you hold? I would probably say some kind of enlisted, higher ranking of enlisted.
A little private.
Not a private.
Little private.
My tiny private, maybe. I would say maybe like master sergeant or something. Maybe I had chances to go up to be an actual officer, but I never accepted them, or I was just not cut out for it. Like I was too rowdy or something.
All right.
And then the last one, how were you harshly punished and when you stepped out of line? What did you learn? I'm sure I learned a lot of stuff.
Sure. Fair enough. All right.
Nice. So much so that it all stuck with you.
I kind of have to think about these, and I guess when we do the first episode, I'll have all this
of course.
out.
But like again, we're just walking through each of them and like helping you guys understand like what each section is for and that sort of thing.
So my first question is, what were you before you were another anonymous worker? So before the entrepreneur spirit jumped into Oscar, he was probably just another a factory worker. Like, he wasn't doing anything too exciting, just working in a very repetitive, boring job. My dream job as a child was the wealthiest person on earth, just to not have to do anything. There's no actual thinking into what I would want to do. It was just be so incredibly wealthy that I wouldn't have to work. And what job did I end up working? Again, the menial job before I failed as an entrepreneur. And where's your family staying if they're not staying with you? The family that I do have are the cats, and that's it anyway. So I have I have a neighbor that looks after them in Germany. That's the town that I'm from.
All right. The next section is about trust. This is a really interesting one. Each playbook, again, these character sheet things, they're called playbooks. It gives you a guideline as to what or who to trust. And so I'm very curious as to what each of yours says. So, Rebecca?
Okay, first, can I get your characters' names one more time?
Well, we should all write those down on that.
So, yeah,
sheet.
this trust thing is a more interactive thing. You might need information from each other for this one.
So my name's Wolfgang.
Wolfgang, the soldier. And what was it?
Oscar von Meowmix.
Von Meowmix. That reminds me of, like, I recently played through a game called Aviary Attorney. Think Phoenix Wright, but like 1840s France and birds and animals. Anyway, there's a rich family called the Demiaus. The heir to the Demiaus is like Cataline Demiau. That's just hilarious.
And my character's name is Indira. So for mine, it's trust the ground pounder you've known longest and any other skyborn on the crew. Otherwise, keep your distance.
Okay. So that might be more of like
so I need to figure out who I've known longest.
Okay.
Roll for it.
I mean, you could roll for it, really. Let's move on to you, Tyler, then.
So mine, ask your new comrades if they find you intimidating. Either trust all that do or all that don't.
Okay.
I trust everyone.
I trust everyone.
They're my coworkers. They're not here for drama.
That's a good
so
way
do
to
we
think
find
about
Wolfgang intimidating is the question.
He's like this, I wouldn't say crotchety old man, but he's more stern, older, kind of mid 40s.
So we have two old, creepy guys hanging out with a gypsy girl.
That's so true. Maybe I should. Well, the thing is, I don't know.
Again, it's a company, and like I'm going to consider, like for this adventure,
there's going to be other people.
Yeah. You won't be the only ones there, and I'm going to consider like my role is also going to be kind of like as the GM is going to be kind of like the one who oversees the company as well. So, but yeah, maybe that's a question that you guys consider. So,
I'm going to go with yes.
You find your Indira finds Wolfgang intimidating?
Slightly intimidating, yes. Doesn't mean I'm scared of him, but he sounds like an intimidating person.
I don't trust either of you then.
I'm sure. I mean, why would he be intimidating to Oscar?
I don't know. The thing is, I don't have a complete background yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. I guess it'll depend on...
Maybe past missions, he's really bloodthirsty.
He seems like I imagine a battle-hardened veteran, and maybe that shows or whatever. But okay, but yeah, I just think it's really cool that the whether or not you trust each other in this in this company and in this flying circus, there are different criteria for each of them, which I think is really interesting.
I trust you all regardless.
Cool. Now let's get into more of like the like equipment and stats and things like that and whatever. So now we move on to assets, baggage, planes, and familiar vices. So this one is like basically bubble in the ones that you want, essentially. Choose 3, choose 2, choose 1, that sort of thing. But yeah, so again, assets is like your practical stuff for everyday use. Sorry. Baggage is like it could be it could be like sort of emotional baggage, but it also could be things like letters from home. It could be heirlooms, kind of the less needful things, but still important to you. So with planes, not all of the like stats for planes is ready quite yet, but we can look up like what the planes look like and things like that if need be. And then familiar vices, because one important thing about life as a pilot in this setting is that life is stressful and can be cut short pretty quickly because of dangerous missions and everything, and in dangerous flying machines. And so, people relieve stress with, again, familiar vices. So that's why that's important there. And it will be important to relieve stress. Like it's good to have stress and then to relieve it, because that gives you your experience points in this game. But it's not good to have too much stress either. All right. Looks like, Rebecca, are you about ready?
Someone else can go first.
Okay.
I'll go.
All right, Tyler, go ahead.
So my assets, I have listed a steel breastplate and helmet. Do we just pick the ones that we pick, or do we just want to go through all of them?
Just the ones that you have.
Okay, I picked 4 old comrades as guards or observers, a service rifle and a bayonet, and a clockwork attendant and its key. In terms of baggage, I just picked 1 so far, a collection of medals and ribbons. Actually, and then I'm going to have the name of my old CO who must pay. It just says who must pay. I don't know what that means. And then I'm going to have a cool scar. It says a dueling scar, but I'm just going to cross it out and just put scar. And then planes, I don't really know any of them. So it looks like the Arnton work is kind of like a single motor biplane. And then I'm going to look.
Where are you finding
I'm
that?
Googling it. I'm just Googling the name because I'm guessing she based it off
of actual planes, I would imagine.
Exactly. So I'm just going to see if I can maybe find something that's similar.
I do know, Tyler, you did say you seem to have an interest in flying a bomber plane. But,
yeah,
I imagine that's probably not among the options, but that's definitely something I will consider for the company.
I think there is a heavy bomber template. So I was thinking with my 4 comrades as like observers, we could use the whole plane. So that's kind of my goal. I don't know which one of these is that, or if it is possible. If not, it's whatever.
Well, there is some flexibility there because I believe the 4th option under planes is or a plane worth up to a certain amount of money.
Yeah, it says 25 of those.
25 things. For you.
And then a familiar vice, I put drinking and brawling.
Okay.
You only have to choose 2? Lucky.
Yeah, what do you have to pick? 1?
3.
3, oh.
3 vices for workers?
Jeez.
Yeah, we got to get through the day.
And then do you want to go through that bottom thing? I guess that's what your
stats. We'll get there next.
Okay, cool. That's my stuff.
Okay, Spencer, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Cool.
So the assets that I'm starting with are a simple, robust sidearm, a membership in a large union, obviously.
Obviously.
And
nice.
2 coworkers with special skills. I just like the name of that. I could have chosen a set of solid boots. Don't know what that would have done, but I could have. The dependents, I chose a number of small children because I consider my cats my children.
Okay.
And then a close friend who's disabled. So that would be the neighbor that looks after the cats. So.
All right.
And then for planes, I don't know. So I left that. I'll choose it later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll figure out like the exact planes you guys have later because none of us are quite privy to World War I era plane things, but definitely something we're looking at for this adventure. So
for my familiar vices, I chose opiates, tobacco, and music.
Oh, all right. And Rebecca.
Okay, so for my assets, I have a wingsuit crafted from a great bird.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
And a fine sword that can cut anything.
Wow, OP.
Oh, please nerf.
Nerf.
You're out there with a sword, and I'm up here with freaking boots.
I love the customized. I love how different each of these are. Each of these playbooks. This is great.
You picked the wrong class, Spencer.
For my baggage, I have a pet bird who knows a few words, a blue crystal which sometimes levitates, a compass that points somewhere odd, and I decided it just always points home. So that's my go home
Nice.
How does a compass point? Oh, well, I guess it could. I was going to say it's an airship, but I mean, it could still.
No, it
has strong magnets.
Are you questioning magic? It's the magic of love.
I figured it works along the lines of like Jack Sparrow's compass that always points to whatever you want most, but mine always points home.
Love is the only thing that we know that can transcend space and time, damn it. Thanks, Anne Hathaway from Interstellar.
I noticed, Spencer, that you seem to have... I personally love Interstellar, but I did notice...
movie.
I did notice your Instagram story, Spencer.
You solve the problem of the movie in the first 30 minutes. You aren't allowed to go on for another 2 hours. You just aren't. I'm sorry. You just can't do it.
That's fine. But anyway, moving on.
And then a deck of cards with strange icons and art.
Ooh. Deck of many things? No, we're not doing that.
And then, again, like Spencer, I'm holding off on the plane. And then for my familiar vices, I have flying and stargazing.
Very nice.
What?
Wait. You're relieving stress from flying by flying.
Flying is a stress reliever for me. I grew up flying.
OP.
It's where I feel...
OP.
Come on. I feel like
I have a drinking problem and
we're
brawling with people.
The vices for her are things that they don't hurt you. They aren't mind-numbing. I freaking have to choose between drinking opioids, cannabis, tobacco. Like...
I have a lot of stressors though, and I take stress when I'm in a ground pounder.
There are some things that give her like 2 or 3 points of stress. So,
it's true. Hers has a ton. That's the one thing that kind of pulled me away from it. I was like,
yeah, for something like a witch, for example, I only see like 1 or 2 points of stress. So, anyway.
Again, a long list of triggers for me.
I think that triggers are like everyone has that.
Everyone has about that many triggers. We'll get there in a little bit.
But one of my personal moves is I take stress.
Like if I talk to anybody, I take stress.
If I'm in a ground pounder town, I take stress, and then I have to counteract that stress.
Ground pounder is such a good term. I really love that.
I think there is truly a lot to love about this game. Anyway, but yeah, so there we go. Now we're gonna get into stats. There we go. So there are 5 different kinds of stats, and I'm gonna briefly explain what each of them are. Hard means like hard, aggressive, hard-hearted, mean, cold. This is for when you start fights, when you take lives, when you make tough decisions. It's a stat you want for putting down enemy planes. Keen is like, bright, aware, on the ball, when you want to dodge fire or navigate or talk your way out of something. Calm is, composed, careful, considerate, by the book. It's a stat you want for survival, making repairs and negotiating, making human connections. And finally, there's daring, glory-seeking, living on the edge, put your plane or yourself through the impossible when you want to brag about it. It's a stat you want to be a hero. Each of you should have choose a certain sort of like attribute section. There's like 4 different builds basically, and then you're able to add 1 to a stat or something.
Yes.
After that.
Yeah.
So again, we'll go around. What did you pick, Rebecca?
I picked Wing Walker. Always keep a sure footing.
Okay.
So I have -2 to hard and keen, and +2 to calm, and +4 to daring.
Nice. That'll be really good.
Oh, okay. I was confused. Like I said 5. That's because I'm looking at the. So there's only 4. There's 4 main attributes. I was looking at the Witch playbook, which has a 5th one called Wild, which I think has to do with magic, if I'm not mistaken, like the Fae and that kind of thing. So anyway, there you go, Tyler.
I picked the Professional. It's a job like any other. So I have hard +2, keen is 0, calm is +2, and daring is -2.
And Spencer?
I chose Worn Down, which is hard +2, keen +2, calm +2, daring -4.
All right. Very good.
So, don't ask me to save your life.
So that was the first page of each playbook for each character. That was basically like the multiple choice, sort of the little personality quiz sort of a thing. The next page is the actual character sheet where you would write down like the stats that you've developed and such. All right. We'll go into the mechanics of stress and things like that when we actually get into playing. But just know that there are certain things that trigger stress for each of you, and they're unique to each background. For example, with the witch, the witch gains 1 point of stress if they use magic violently, or if they fail a mission, or if they miss a spell. They gain 2 points of stress if they're injured, 1 point of stress if they're passed out, that kind of thing. I don't know, unless you guys want to, we don't have to go around to say exactly what it is, but because those are already predetermined.
So everyone has different triggers, I'm guessing, because mine are different than the witch.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are different vents. There are different ways that you can kind of get rid of stress, and that's also different for each one as well. Some vent by picking a fight with somebody, or things like that.
Do we want to go and just say one of our favorite of each of those? Because I
Sure.
think some of those
go
are
ahead.
kind of funny.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, my favorite trigger. Well, my worst trigger is if you are forced to land, I take 3 stress.
Ooh.
That's really harsh. But then again, familiar vices are pretty tame by comparison. So.
And then my favorite vent is deliberate, egregiously and hilariously violate local customs.
Ooh, that's going to be great.
All right, Tyler.
My triggers are mostly combat related ones. So if I get shot, or if I fight someone, or I see someone get wounded. So there's not really any unique ones for that. But the vents draw a weapon at a bad time. So I might be doing that a lot. Just going to be waving that gun around at people all the time to vent some stress.
Nice. And Spencer?
I think my favorite trigger is if your plane got shot. So I'm going to get stressed a lot. But I love the vents because they're basically just complain. If you complain, you're totally fine.
Vent
3
your
of
frustration
them
to the authorities.
3 of them are complain about something.
Very nice. Yeah, a lot of really, really fun character in this game. Let's see, what are the things on here? Let's see, a place for your name, your age, your pronouns, for your attributes, a bar for your stress, and XP, which, again, I believe you build XP by, building some stress and then managing the stress. But if you get too much stress, then that is a penalty to you. There's a box for the names of each of your comrades and whether or not you trust them, and a place for your familiar vices.
Do you guys have to start with any stress?
That might depend on how we're starting the adventure, which is still yet to be determined.
Mine doesn't say I have to, no.
I start with 3 stress.
Oh, really?
Mine says so.
Where does it say that?
Right underneath stress, it says start with 3 stress.
Wow.
Mine doesn't say that.
All right. I guess we're going to be hearing some complaining from Oscar.
You want to get it out right now?
It's the top 1% that's screwing us all over. I think I found.
I love that.
Anyway,
I think I found.
but yeah. So then below that on the character sheet, each background has a certain type of intimacy move, which I don't know exactly how this is going to come into play, but it's more it could be any sort of intimacy. It could be the connections you make as coworkers, that kind of thing, as people. But it means something different to each character. That's the point of that. And then finally we go to the moves. There's personal moves, and there's other moves and notes. So as far as moves go, there are moves that are common for everybody, basic ones, and you get to choose moves for yourself. So you each should have at least one move that you take normally. Like, for example, the witch has a move called Bond that is just going to have Skyborn is going to have Nomad, for example.
It's not good.
What do you mean it's not good?
Nomad. While in ground pounder towns, you take 1 stress when you introduce yourself to others. Press the issue plus calm. Spend more than 1 routine in a town. Pay 1 or more thaler for something. If you are stressed during introspection, you can choose to cross out a Skyborn move you have not taken yet to mark one of those triggers. When you do, describe how you change. name, presentation, gender expression, actions to blend in. The trigger now takes effect when in Skyborn communities instead.
Ooh.
You can only cross out 3 moves total, and crossed out moves can only be learned in a move exchange with other Skyborn. Each time you do, remove a trigger entirely.
Jeez.
Wow.
I mean,
hey, that's free XP.
Cool.
That was your personal move?
That's my personal
that's
move
the one
that I'm
that
stuck with.
Yeah. That's the one for Skyborn that Skyborns have to take. And then, of course, Rebecca gets to choose 3 more on the list there. How about Tyler? What's the move you're stuck with?
It's called stiff upper lip. Unless you are stressed, attempts to get real with you automatically fail. You cannot initiate get real at all. The second time you burn out, cross out this move.
All right.
So I'm guessing it's mostly like if people try to be nice to me, I get pissed.
That sounds just like you.
And then, what about for the worker?
For Oscar, I have breadwinner. Instead of your own personal upkeep, you have dependents. Write their names and mark 1 on one and 2 on the other. Each routine during expenses, choose to pay 0, 1, or 2 thaler for each dependent. If you pay 0, erase 1 mark. If you pay 2, mark the track. And describe what special thing you do for them to make their lives better. A dependent at 2 marks removes 1 stress per routine. A dependent losing a mark gives you 1 stress. And at 0 marks, they cause you 1 stress per routine ongoing. So, I have to buy stuff from my cats.
Here's a nice little sweater for you.
Right.
This is a beautiful sweater.
But yeah, it does say in the rule book that the ones that you don't choose, they're still available to you later, like for character advancement, which we probably won't do in such a short campaign, but adventure. But like, you're not just like stuck with the ones you have, unless again you're doing a short adventure. So there you go. There's a place for other note moves and notes and things like that.
The box below it are all the other personal moves that you can choose, right?
It should be the same box as the personal move you have, right? Like there's a list of.
Yeah, so like there's a list below it, and those.
You have yours is slightly different. Unless maybe that's an earlier version of the thing, but anyway, yeah, you can choose. I think it's
I choose
3 of those.
Ooh, okay. I think so. These are a couple that are really good for me. Well, one, the intimacy move is really good, I think, just in general, because I'm able to redistribute the stress of everybody per their consent. So all of us talking, I could redistribute it after Indira speaks with somebody. I can redistribute her stress.
All right. So yeah, I think the only thing left really, there's something called masteries. Your mastery is the way you fly your plane in combat, your favorite tactics and strategies. We'll check that page in a little bit. But basically, you progress towards mastery there. It unlocks the core move of that mastery. Like taking a mastery unlocks the core move of that for air combat, but you'll need to learn the others by making progress in it. I think you take 1 mastery. I'm not entirely sure.
Mine says start with 1 mastery move and 1.
Okay, yeah, it should.
Whatever that other thing means.
It should say whether you start with a mastery or whether you start with other things.
Yeah, I start with 1 mastery as well.
Okay. There's a reference sheet for the different types of masteries. There are 4. There's Bushwhack Mastery, Dogfighter Mastery, Slipstream Mastery, and Sharpshooter Mastery. Bushwhack is more of specializes in sneaking up on foes and taking them down before they have a chance to be a danger to you. Uses the hard stat. Dogfighter is focused on with turn fighting and attrition, using elaborate maneuvers to wear down targets. Also uses the hard stat. Slipstream is defensive fighting, dodging, weaving until your enemy slips up. That uses keen and or daring. And then Sharpshooter focuses on marksmanship, scoring hits that do the most damage possible from long range or awkward angles. It works for those in the gunner seat as well as pilots, and using the calm stat. So if it does say that you get to choose a mastery in the beginning, you choose that.
Cool.
I need to read through them before deciding.
There's a sheet that has all of them.
Yeah, all 4 of them, and it shows the progression.
You can print that out.
Oh, yeah. So, Rebecca, here you go. And it should
I
say...
don't think there's a progression. I think you just pick
Well, you pick one and you
want,
start with that one, but as you gain victories, like there should be a little bar in the lower right-hand corner of your character sheet. It says Mastery Progress. Mark 1 Mastery Progress when you fly a mission, when you score a victory, or get forced down. At 5, erase them and take a Mastery move. So you get to like take another move in that Mastery. That's money. That's Thaler.
Gotcha.
And you also should each have a starting amount of Thaler.
Trace.
Like
we have 3.
the Skyborn gets 1.
Finally.
So yeah,
where do you find that?
That's where it says start with one. Start with like 1 mastery move and 3. It has a thorn symbol.
I get 3.
Yeah, so it's a thorn symbol. It looks like a P with an extended stem. But yeah, Thaler or Thaler, that's the money that pilots care about. They're the size of coasters, and they have their own like mint markings, and they're gold colored with a gem in the middle and everything. I think that is pretty much it for character creation, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And there's a really cool picture of what a Thaler coin looks like on page 27 of the rulebook. Let us move on then to the company. There is another sheet, a roster sheet, which I will keep track of for this adventure, that kind of goes over like what the company is all about and that kind of thing. And I wanted to I know that I could certainly make decisions about what this company is, but since this adventure is going to be shorter, I'm interested in hearing what sort of company are you guys interested in? What sort of adventures are you guys interested in? And then we can make a company based on that. And so I guess at this point we'll just have input from any of you, unless you're all still deciding on what mastery you're taking or something.
Yeah, I picked mine, but I'm not exactly sure what our main purpose is going to be.
Well, what sounds fun to you? Basically, that's what I want to know. I can bring up some different options, I guess, for this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, so there is a list of employees, the kind of role that people make. So basically, on this roster sheet, I have name, position, and upkeep. Different positions could be like pilots, civilian pilots, mechanics, guards, doctors, observers, navigators, bombardiers, attendants, and fixers. Fixers being like negotiators, basically. So it could be maybe... Sorry, I could have sworn... Okay.
On page 35. The employees?
That's where employees are. I guess for some reason I thought there was a section in here that kind of gave examples of different kinds of companies, but maybe that's just like the questions they ask.
There is a section for enemies that have other flying circuses, but that's at the end. I could pull that up because that might have some stuff. So it has like a famous squadrons page.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like the checkmates, Checkmate started as a deserting Gothia air wing. The squadron is so large that its hierarchy with ranks named for chess pieces. Talons were fairly well regarded, but the leader died. Fractured into smaller bandit groups. There's one that's like all ace pilots that are older. They don't take frequent jobs. All female squadron.
So it could be things like mercenaries, or maybe couriers, or
escort flyers.
Yeah. Well, some of the questions that is suggested in the book are things like how did you all, the characters, meet? Why did you decide to form the company? That kind of thing. So,
how did we meet?
Do you guys want to be the founders of a company, or do you all want to be like members of a larger company, perhaps?
I think being the founders would be more fun.
All right. So that brings the question: how did these 3 characters meet?
That is a very good question.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the question that's never answered in any game, unless you actually talk about it. I mean, most...
Right.
No, I mean, think about it. Like, most campaigning
people.
groups are like, well, it's because we're together in real life, so of course we're going to be together in our campaign.
Right.
It's important to me because I need to know who I trust.
Well, I think since I have the most experience, I'm going to throw this out.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I probably had a plane before, and I needed crew members. You were reading a book and wanted to join a crew, maybe learn how to fly a plane, and I needed people to join. And I guess both of you wanted to gain experience, or maybe And then I guess Rebecca's character is like so into the sky that maybe I was interested in learning her culture of the sky people, maybe to get some...
You would want to do that?
Trading ties with them, or maybe they have some kind of technology or thing that's interesting. I have no idea. These are just ideas I'm throwing out.
Sure.
It does... To me,
maybe... Oh, go ahead, Spencer.
To me, it makes sense that like Ty or Wolfgang would be the one that started it, in the sense that like he left the army and wanted to do his own thing, his own company, but he also needed people who were good enough to do it. So that's how he got in contact with Indira. For whatever reason, she was looking to join a company. Not sure about that motivation there.
I have an idea for that, actually.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's your idea first?
Well, I was going to say, like, maybe as I alluded to earlier, maybe even though I'm the GM, I could also say that I'm like a sort of side character that's like higher up in the company. Like maybe I help run it, maybe I help manage it, and that kind of thing, which would make sense if I'm the one who's going to fill out the roster sheet and keep you guys apprised of...
you run payroll.
Like I could be my character. Like I could be the character who runs the payroll. Basically,
I only trust your character if you're the one who introduced us.
Like maybe, like maybe I and Tyler's character, like
co-started.
Yeah, co-started because the soldier would definitely know about like the airplane flying and all that, all the dogfighting and that business, but probably wouldn't know as much about like the business of it, right? And so my quote unquote character could be that business person who has contacts, who knows people.
Your name is Nona.
Why?
She worked at my old company that I worked for, and she ran payroll.
Oh,
I liked her a lot.
I don't know if I like that name that much.
Tough Nuggets, Nona.
I don't like that. We're just gonna call you that.
Anyway, but that could explain the how kind of vastly different Oscar and Indira are. So I was like, hey, you know what? These people seem reliable, or, you know, we could take a chance on this person. It's not like we have much to lose.
I guess. So I was thinking that possibly if you were looking for crew, if you had come to my ship and asked if there's anyone there interested, and I wanted to get away.
That could be a good one.
Yeah,
because I was too curious and too independent and just couldn't deal with my family anymore, and then I joined.
Yeah, maybe like my character could be the one that would have scouted out the other two, perhaps. And then also like hired a few people to be like, you know, repair people or whatever and that kind of stuff. But you three would be the main people who like, you're the ones who fly the planes.
We flew sorties and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that then brings the question like, so what sort of a like flying circus business would, you know, the soldier want to have? Maybe like a mercenary group? Like, would you be into like fighting and stuff, or maybe more peaceful things like being a courier service, perhaps, or maybe being doing escort missions?
I think if it is possible, if I do get like a bomber, it'd be fun to be able to, you know, we could do bombing missions with like them escorting and like some fighters. But then we could also do like transporting goods or like important people and do those kind of like courier missions. We do whatever also.
Kind of a thing. Okay.
For Oscar, like his description as a worn down is just punching the clock. Like he is doing this to pay off debts. Whatever that means, he'll do it.
Cool. So just kind of like, you know what, let's start a crew and let's do things. Basically, we'll take what we can get at this point. Just starting out. That sound about right? That sound good to you guys?
That sounds good to me.
I feel like we've probably flown a few missions together already.
Probably some pretty simple ones, like carry this here, please escort this plane over here in dangerous territory, and kind of politically tumultuous territory, that kind of thing.
How is pay handled? Obviously, Nona deals with it.
So you guys have flown a few missions before. So I'm going through the questions in the rule book here. How did you all meet? We talked about that. Why did you decide to form the company? We also just talked about that. What's the purpose? You all have your own purposes for being in here, but it's just kind of like, you know, something to do, basically. Like, all-out war is not happening, but, you know, there are still conflicts and things. What kind of missions do you specialize in? Not really specializing in any, at least not right now, because you're just starting out. you guys have flown a few missions, so this is not your first missions per se. How's the company organized? I would imagine, like, Tyler, if you're okay with this, like, maybe like Tyler's character is like, I just want to do more. I just want to fly and stuff. I'll let you take care of all the rest of it. So.
Perfect. Yep.
Yep. I imagine your character probably did that same thing. Yep. You do all that. You do all the money. You organize. You organize all the talking with other companies and people.
So you guys like a partnership sort of format.
Yeah. And how is pay handled?
No.
Generally.
By Nona.
Nona's got it.
So a general suggestion is that usually it's like the mechanics don't account for any personal finances. The mechanics of this game don't account for personal finances. Usually, it just assumes that everyone has agreed to pool their money and spend as they need it. Essentially, maybe you want a different organization. I don't know. You each do have your own like amounts of thaler that you have. Maybe like as far as like pay goes, it just like goes equal. The pay just goes equal to everybody, kind of a thing.
That sounds fine.
Cool. There is a page dedicated to paint schemes and roundels, like the kind of like the insignia of the company. I can come up with something like that. We don't have to like discuss it here, but if you guys have ideas, I'm open to them. But I think it'd be fun to make a kind of like a roundel or a symbol or something for this new company.
And that can be the logo for the episode.
Ooh, yes. Ooh. Well, yeah, for the episode, maybe not the season because we're playing other games in the season. But so a company roster again. I'll fill that in with the names of you three. There probably won't be too many other employees. Just a few more essentials, and then I'll look into planes as well. If there are specific planes you're interested in, I'll look into those. But I'll choose some planes that look like they would make sense for this company.
Question.
Yeah.
Does it make more sense for my character to only trust the manager of things, or to only trust Wolfgang? Or which would be more fun?
It sounds like
asking everyone.
Well,
I probably flew to your city to talk with you and with Nick's character. So
I get.
But he probably did all the talking.
My character probably did do all the talking, so it might make more sense for you to.
But would it make more sense for her to trust a pilot as a pilot herself?
True.
She doesn't have to have the words to convince her. She sees that Wolfgang is able to do it. I think the reason that I only say that is to avoid you getting unnecessary stress for working with people that you don't trust.
Right.
So that's why I would make the argument to have it be Wolfgang.
I think that would make sense.
For the fun of you playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. For perspective, apparently, for as far as what thalers are and in terms of worth, it says in here for the plane section, write in every plane the company has between them. For expenses, planes cost 1 thaler for every engine they have. So thalers are fairly worthwhile among flying circuses.
Yeah,
circuses, apparently
they're really worth a lot of money.
So if I need anything that costs more than 1 thaler, when we're in a ground pounder town,
look,
I'm just going to tell someone else I need it and tell them
I am not the one you come to ask for money. It's my money.
I am asking for your financial aid.
Look, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you for a donation.
The last few things about the company. Company value is a stat which loosely represents the potential fighting power of their company to potential clients. The person hiring you doesn't care about how many mechanics or doctors you have on call. So it's usually the number of combat planes you have or which have pilots or whatever. Basically like how many operational machines or how many operational pilots you may have. So the company value will likely be something like 3, maybe 4. Fairly small.
I find that offensive.
Deny it.
And then finally, there's fame and infamy. So this part of your sheet covers your company's long-term reputation. As it is a brand new company, this should usually be left blank. However, you might be forming a legacy squadron using the name and livery of a first-generation Circus. If you are, pick 1 fame and 1 infamy move that lingers in the first incarnation of the group. I think we're thinking of doing just a clean slate kind of a thing.
Tabula rasa.
Yeah. So And then there's something about overruns on here. I think it's just like if there's just like a company problem or something, that's things like go up with half fuel or go up with half ammo, no free repairs, that kind of thing. I think that's circumstantial. So cool. I think that it's actually probably it as far as like session 0 is concerned. I'll come up with an adventure that will involve some fun, the fun basic mechanics and a few other things I think might be cool that we can fit in to 3 episodes, and we'll go from there.
Do we have a company name yet?
Not yet. Do we want to figure that out?
The Rowdy Boys.
I'm offended.
The Squabbling Peacocks.
How about this? Since this was like Wolfgang's brainchild, essentially, Wolfgang wanted this to happen. Either we'll have Tyler come up with something, or maybe the name wasn't formed yet until everyone came here.
Yes.
So I'll leave that to you, the players. What kind of name do you want for this company?
Something strong and powerful to describe planes. How about Boeing? Oh, sorry. That's probably in poor taste considering the last year that they've had.
So rowdy.
Too soon?
See, rowdy. Rowdy boys and girls. We'll think of something good and we'll get back by next week.
Okay, sounds
Which
good.
means we won't, but...
So which will.
Cool. Any questions or comments or concerns or anything at this point?
Nah, this game looks dope.
I'm excited. And you all look excited, which is exciting. So, all right. So until next week, we will start the adventures of company name here. Next week, we'll figure it out. Figure out the logo, the company name, and everything. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and until next time.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah!
Hey, I'm Brad, and if you like D&D, and fantasy stories with lots of magic, adventure, strange beasts, and oddball characters, and comedians with New Zealand accents, then oh boy, have I got just the show for you. The Fate of Ison is a podcast that has, wait for it, all of those things. Remember those things I mentioned? It's got all of them! Now go listen to The Fate of Ison because it's good and you deserve good things. Fate of Ison, a proud member of the Necropodicon Network.
Necropodicon. Hard to pronounce, easy to listen.
Dun, da, 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 da.